And do you think, we touched on it briefly earlier, we talked about a global campaign that is then spread out into the different regions. I was at Cannes and I heard Jonathan Milton, who obviously likes to be fairly controversial just for controversy's sake at times, and he was talking about Airbnb, and he mentioned that brands that think that there's no such thing as one global campaign, there's not a global idea that can work everywhere else, need to kind of sharpen up what they do and need to change their whole philosophy. Do we think there is one global idea, but then it takes into the nuances of each region? Or do we think we need to create mobile and video campaigns that are just very different in every single region?
I think Airbnb just proved that actually, because I was reading about what they're doing in China. They've had a massive success lately because they have adapted what they do best, which is their model, but completely adapted to the Chinese market. So utilizing the app, they understood that by trying to work with the Chinese consumer in their market, that was going to really then put them on top of the consideration set when Chinese people travel. And they utilize all the apps and everything that is available in the Chinese market to really connect with the Chinese consumer. So yes, you can have an idea that is globally driven, but unless, especially for certain markets like China, but even in France, in Germany, unless you really kind of almost reinvent it for that market in the context of contextual advertising and content and what people want to hear more of or not, then you can't succeed.
Yeah, I think that the value of local expertise, you can't outweigh that. You really can't, because some brands, yes, they could have a global campaign because it's a very generic brand, but many brands, because of the differences and nuances in different countries and how those countries perceive brands, you need that local expertise to kind of give you that advice, to help you make sure that you are using the best mediums and the best channels for that brand in that kind of territory. So the local expertise, I think, is very valuable as well.
Yeah, I think it's the job of the people who lead the global marketing team to really set the ambition and really set the safety net, saying it's okay to really own that brand idea, but we really want to aspire, because you have to push markets to really imagine what could be possible. And I think with that sense of ownership, they can actually create what's genuinely valuable in that market. Unfortunately, what we do see is a lot of kind of distillation of like, oh, this is the one thing that kind of works universally, and it ends up being quite boring and generic and not particular to that brand. So you can get really kind of like average work, or you can get extremely powerful work, and it's the role of the global teams to really push and accelerate, the ambitions of everybody around the world.
Working for. A great example for me is Apple. You look at Apple's advertising, I think you'll find it's pretty similar in every single market. Shot on iPhone 6 has gone everywhere. Wherever I go, I see these massive billboards with amazing photos. If I talk to some of my more commerce-driven clients, I think you'll find that they operate on a very central basis, but always with maybe some local knowledge incorporated into their central marketing, but they operate on a very fleet, fast, reactive way to generate the most amount of money they can out of their campaigns. And some clients, as you say, global leadership, local activation with local knowledge. I think there is not one size that fits all for all clients. It really does depend on who they are and what they do.